name is Julie Thornton. I am 13 years old and I attend the Bilkent Laboratory and International School. The scientific idea I will discuss today is categorized under life sciences, specifically neuroscience. The scientific idea I'm going to explain today is presented under the title Music and Memory, the Key to Unlocking Dementia. I first developed my idea when I was reading my brain book by Rita Carter. I read the pages on making sense of sound and dementia. I noticed from an MRI scan that the parts of the brain active during dementia are very close to the parts of the brain most active while listening to music. This is when I started to wonder whether music could help restore significant memories in dementia patients. Dementia is the damage and loss of brain cells, which causes a number of symptoms such as memory loss, confusion and disorientation, unsteadiness, sleeplessness, and personality shifts to aggression or depression. Dementia is a global issue. According to Alzheimer's Disease International, there are currently 46.8 million people living with dementia, and this number is supposed to increase to 74.7 million in 2030. As well as being an international healthcare crisis, dementia is also a personal tragedy for the patient, family members, and the caregiver. Progressive memory loss means that part of the patient's self-identity is gradually lost, and the patients are at risk of being gradually objectified by others. I chose to sing If You Could Hear My Voice by Jim Popoulis at the start of this video because I feel it captures this human tragedy. If you could hear my voice, if you would only listen, to me suggests that the dementia patients are feeling more and more frustrated about feeling isolated and locked in. I have had personal experience of dementia as my grandfather suffered from Alzheimer's disease, which is the most common form of dementia. Alzheimer's disease is a slowly progressing neurodegenerative disease in which a polyprotein is produced as plaques. This results in the death of brain tissue and eventually dementia. Now I will ask my mother some questions about my grandfather's symptoms through the stages of Alzheimer's disease.
Hello, Julie.
Hello. So was Grandad's spatial memory affected during his early stages of Alzheimer's disease?
Yes, he would sometimes go in the wrong direction.
And in the moderate stages of his Alzheimer's disease, was he confused about the time of day?
He was confused about the time and the day.
Oh dear. And in his later stages of Alzheimer's disease, could he recognize you or your family members?
No, he couldn't distinguish between us and the others around him.
Oh.
Here he is, look.
Oh.
And that's you.
Oh, it is. Neuroscientists are currently trying to find new ways to restore memory in dementia patients. For example, the Valeda lab at the University of California, San Francisco, has found out that extracting an immunity-related protein called B2M from the blood and spinal fluid of aging patients could improve memory and learning skills. Also, at the University of Wake Forest University and at the North California University in Los Angeles, neuroscientists are developing a microchip hippocampus which can be inserted in the brain to generate new memories in Alzheimer's patients. In 1965, Professor Lola Cuddy founded a music cognition lab in Kingston, Ontario, Queen's University. One of her studies showed that Alzheimer's patients have an overwhelmingly higher music ability than their mental state. Another study showed that Alzheimer's patients still have a recollection of the Western tonal hierarchical system. An important study showed that Alzheimer's patients can consciously enjoy listening to music throughout all of the stages of the disease. Another study showed that instrumental music specifically, was effective in evoking memes, which are music evoked autobiographical memories. It was also seen that the emotional level of the piece was connected with the piece's familiarity and pleasantness. From these studies, we can see that music plays a large role in evoking memories, and it is significant because it can survive all of the stages of Alzheimer's disease. One of Professor Cuddy's undergraduate students, Selina Wang, also thinks that music can be used to restore memory in Alzheimer's disease patients. My idea of how to use music to help restore memory in dementia patients partly depends upon early diagnosis. One way scientists are hoping to diagnose early is by mapping a digital atlas of the brain using MRI scans of Alzheimer's disease patients and normally aging people. Edinburgh University researchers hope that doctors will be able to immediately see the scans and tell whether somebody has Alzheimer's disease or not. Also, Professor Anne Fagan of the Washington University School of Medicine and her team are hoping to use cerebrospinal fluid biomarkers to detect Alzheimer's disease years before memory loss becomes noticeable. Diagnosis is important for my idea of how music can be helped to restore memory in dementia patients, as it takes at least 2 years to form a long-term memory through hippocampal processing. My scientific idea is that when patients are diagnosed early, they can start associating specific pieces of music that should be unfamiliar with specific actions. This way, in more severe stages of the disease, caregiver or the family members can play back these pieces and they will hopefully trigger memories in the patient. In the case of voluntary semantic memories, every time a patient sees someone or says their name, a specific piece of music can be played. This means that the patient will gradually start to associate the piece of music with the name or face. In the case of voluntary spatial memory, every time, for example, a patient puts their keys in a specific location, a specific piece of music can be played, so that in the end, the patient will associate the piece of music with that specific location. In the case of voluntary procedural memories, every time a patient carries out an action, a different song can be played. The reason for using a song is so that the lyrics can connect with the action. Also, the patients can try and carry out the action in the beats of the song. The reason for using unfamiliar tunes is so that an episodic memory isn't triggered by mistake, which can happen with familiar tunes. In the case of involuntary episodic memories, which have a different neural network than voluntary memories, a familiar piece can be played back to a dementia patient suffering from a severe stage that will evoke a emotional past event or an emotional past experience. For example, a national anthem may evoke a memory of a particular national holiday. Therefore, my idea is that a patient diagnosed early can create a personalised music bank that will slowly evolve into a memory bank over the 3 main stages of dementia. Musical memories can be stored in this music bank until the late stages of dementia, where a caregiver or family member can play back pieces to remind the patient of faces, memories, events, and procedures or actions. Then, Jim Porpoulis's lyrics, "If I just let it sing, then I will find an answer," will start to ring true for dementia patients.